today's episode, we have Victoria Hartcorn, a functional health practitioner, fitness coach, and founder of Accelerate Wellness. I'm so excited to have you on today, Victoria, because we are about to talk about something that I see in 100% of the women that I work with. And we can unravel it a little bit, but to kind of give it a blanket statement, the beliefs we have about ourselves and how they are impacting our health as women in this world. It's a big topic, and I would love to know your story, and I would love to know how you got started in this space.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited for this combo. I'm sure a lot of women can relate to, I didn't have a problem really with food or my body until I started dieting. I had a weird entry point into the world dieting. I just really wanted to like myself more as a teenager years ago. So I started really young. I was a dancer, and it kind of opened up Pandora's box, because once you start to see that you can manipulate your body as a young person, it's like you'll never look at yourself the same way, especially if you get really lean. Anybody that's gotten really lean knows you change your perception of yourself based off of that. Like you have a new ceiling. So I started dieting young. I know a lot of women do. Most women spend like 35 years of their life dieting. And because I was dancing, I went to college for dance in New York City, where I'm from. I was very fixated on the way I looked, and I would lose a lot of weight and then I would regain it. And it was extremely embarrassing, obviously. And it became a part of how I see myself. It became embedded into my story until, you get to a point where you kind of hit that breakthrough point, which is, I think, where a lot of women are like, I need help. I need to find someone. I need to do something differently. So my breakthrough point was a breakup. Shocking. But it was a bad breakup. And oh man, sometimes they do good things for you, but I was there. Right. So I was working as a personal trainer in New York City at a very beautiful bougie health club on Park Avenue. And I had this bad breakup, and my friend, who was a pro natural bodybuilder, convinced me to do a bikini show. And I don't even wear bikinis in real life. I have horrible body dysmorphia. So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be like, revenge body at that time. And I did. And I did a lot of extremes. It was very bro science based. And I did get on stage. It was phenomenal. But then I gained 30 pounds like that. And shortly thereafter, I started to feel very ill. I went to urgent care for some low blood pressure, and I started to notice that my body was really symptomatic, until I got hives all over my arms and legs for a year. And they were very painful. Yeah. So I did the typical conventional route. I went to my primary, my endocrinologist. I was on birth control for PCOS for well over a decade, unknowingly. You don't know what you don't know. And
you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. And that's the thing, is like, we can do so much better for the next generation from where we are. It's such a gift. So allergists, the whole NYU dermatology team, no one could figure me out. So I was literally like, I remember telling one of my coworkers, I am in hell right now. Like, because everybody at the gym, this is my job. It was like amazed by my transformation. And then I wanted to hide in a hole and wear sweatshirts, because my rashes would get even more painful if they were exposed. Like, I had to keep long sleeves. So it was a really challenging time. And then it was an amazing time, because that's where I actually found my faith. That's where I found my husband. Like, when I was 30 pounds overweight, it was like this big switch. And I found this incredible coach in Canada, ironically.
Oh, nice.
This is like the wild west of online coaching, man. 2011 was okay. So this is when it was very different back then. Everything was bodybuilding.com, and
Oh yes. Yeah. I know it well.
I'm sure you do. I know you've been around for a long time. So yeah, that just turned it around. I really learned about metabolism. Obviously, I came to realize that my gut was the source, this skin reaction. But at the time, healing came quicker than I thought once I got myself into a state in which I could heal. It was the emotional piece of feeling like, oh, I'm whole. Like, I'm going to stop doing this. This is the end of the line. And really starting to bring awareness, bring things to the surface that I had suppressed for years, and challenging it. So I had an aha moment. I tell my clients about this all the time, where my coach, he means well, I love him so much, came to my wedding, like the original coach, right? He pinched my body fat with his hands in front of all of our friends in like the employee break room at work. These are all personal trainers. It was so fun. But, it irritated me, of course, as a woman, when you're just like, you don't want to express it at the time. So I ran out the door, and I remember going down, Miss New York, you can find food anywhere. So I went down the street to my favorite coffee house with my friend, and I was like, I am getting a muffin. Like, I was outraged. And she was like, are you sure you want to do that? Because I'm in prep for a show. And I was like, I am not a bikini girl. I'm a chubby girl in a bikini girl's body. And it was like, the lights, the light bulb went off, where it was like, oh, that's how I see myself. And this struggle is a part of who I am now. Like, I would be more unsafe if I stopped struggling. So there was all this unraveling there. Obviously, it all turned out amazing. I lost the weight. I actually stepped on stage with that new Canadian coach. Amazing. A couple times. It was phenomenal. I didn't have to do any bro science. Beautiful, happy ending. I went to work with her for several years. That's what got me into online coaching. Yeah. So, and then, fast forward to after my second baby. So kind of where you are right now, but you, like I said, you're in such a better place than I was. So great job, Mom.
I'm so thankful for that. I couldn't imagine like in my late 30s after babies 2 and 3 and like not feeling good in my body. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, good. And you're going to help so many women because you have that perspective. So I love that. I think I was 37 and my son was not sleeping, and I was ramping up my business as fast as I could because I wanted my husband to get out of a terrible job. And all of the conditioning that I had thought I'd gotten rid of resurfaced really aggressively. So, just like, I'm not good enough. Obviously, why am I not pulling this together fast? I've been in the fitness industry for 20 years. Like just the harsh inner critic. Plus, I was very dysregulated. I was very triggered. I had an 18-month-old daughter as well, and she's everything that I wish that I would allow myself to be. Okay. So I love that she is unfiltered. And at the same time, kids will reveal to you every unhealed wound that you have. So
they're our biggest teachers for sure.
Man. Yeah. So I didn't realize that I was making myself sick at the time. Functional was so helpful. So I started to have some symptoms, of course. And I had hormonal imbalances, like I told you. But as you can imagine, I started to be extremely fatigued, very burned out. Sleep was an issue. Obviously, that meant I woke up and it felt like I hadn't slept, and I had bloating that would never end. And I think a lot of women think they're like, I'm just bloated all the time. And I think there's a major difference between bloating and true distension. That normal, like, I just had some food. I know what that's like. Like, if it's the end of the day, I don't look the same as the beginning of the day. It's nothing crazy. Sure. Right? No, it was like a hard, distended, what is like very inflamed, very, very inflamed. And doctors couldn't help. So I did the same. I, of course, honor conventional medicine. So I went to the doctor. I had a CAT scan, and he had told me, like, you probably just need a tummy tuck. It seems like it's exacerbated diastasis recti. I know, right? And I thought to myself, okay, so here's the crazy part. It's because I love my pelvic floor PTs. I'm a personal trainer. So are you. So, and I'm pre and postnatal certified, and I will still hire a pelvic floor PT, 100%.
Yes.
So I had one that was really close to me, and I had one that was further away in the mountains. And both of them were like, no, you're good, honey. Like, you're good. I was checking myself. So I'm like, is this diastasis? Am I crazy? Like, I'm repeatedly checking myself. No. So it was SIBO, but, and leaky gut.
There. You and I, our stories are running parallel here. Go on.
No, of course. I'm not silly. I'm not going to waste time. As soon as I realized, I was like, oh, I'm going to hire someone. 100%. Like, yes. That's what I believe in. I don't know everything. I hired a practitioner. She's wonderful. She really is such a lovely person, but we went right into testing, GI map. We did a saliva test. What I was thankful for was a lot of labs at that time, but I felt like this is not the full solution. Obviously, like I was getting a lot of tons and tons of supplements from her, and just intermittent meetings. And I know you don't run your program like this. I don't run my program like this, but she run it in such a way where you're paying for time. And so we're doing these meetings, and I realized, okay, that was the first step. I'm feeling slightly better, but like really not better. And then I hired a different coach after that. And again, was the next step. But I kept feeling like there's more. Like, I know that it's not just a lack. Like, yes, of course, I need minerals. And I really did need a lot of supplements, and I did need to do gut work. I get it. I did those things, but it didn't take me all the way there. And that's why I'm so passionate with women understanding, like, my nervous system went into overdrive and adapt. And that's when it was like, I have to create an environment to heal. So I have to reverse myself out of this. It's like one of the most important things you can do with a person is to ask them what was going on before things started. I mean, really months before things started to show up, right? Because your body's on your side. It's not betraying you. It's actually responding to the environment. Like, your nervous system is your sensing system. So it was constantly sensing danger. And the danger was my relationship to the people in my house, myself, my past, my present, like everything was sounding the alarm because of those patterns. So that's why I think that, like, I'm so passionate about coaches that are really conscious of this stuff, because I think we really miss it if we're just telling people, hey, it's just food, exercise, and, take some supplements. Like, you're a whole person. I can see you're like, I hear you.
Ready. I'm ready. Oh my goodness. Yes. And you said what was happening months before the symptoms started, but it can be decades before.
100%. Whole life.
Yes. Like you said at the very beginning that you didn't, I don't exactly know the words, but you didn't start not liking your body until you started dieting. Right. And so how you were a teenager, you were dancing, like your body was clearly on display. You were using it as a tool for this piece of art. Right. And curious to know if that's actually, in hindsight, you saying that, like, I didn't think about my body in that way until I started dieting, or was it earlier? You know what I mean? Like, were you highly aware that your body was on display in some way? And I don't mean in any kind of sexually objective way.
No, yeah.
It's hard as young girls in the teenage years, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, a very, very toxic world for diet culture. It's hard for us to not see ourselves in a way that our body equals our worth, right? Would you say that in your teenage years, decades before this breakthrough, decades before understanding how the nervous system worked, that was a piece to your puzzle as well?
Yeah. So if you've heard of good girl syndrome, it's not a diagnosis, it's a societal norm, but most of my clients can relate to good girl syndrome. And I had that for sure, where
I still have that.
Okay, let's be real. 100%. Yeah. Like, there's this level of compliance and getting it all right, perfectionism, which is just this
not disappointing
for certainty. Yeah. I don't want to disappoint anyone. And we can mask that. I know you're a high achiever like me. We're both ambitious. We can mask that with saying that, like, we just want to be the best of the best, right? Like, I just want to optimize. Yes. I want to take my potential. But in reality, I had a deep fear that I was not good enough. And I think a lot of people, if they look down through what's like the layers of things, a lot of the times when we are driving ourselves really hard and we get into patterns of staying, like every woman says, I'm busy all the time and I'm rushing everywhere and life is just so crazy and there's never enough time. It all boils down to, like, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. And therefore I'm at risk of losing love.
Yes.
I'm very much a personal responsibility person. I think that I don't like this wording because I don't like the phrase fix. I'm very big on language. So just as like a cool tip for your audience, if you really want to assess what you believe, check what comes out of your mouth. A lot of times I will check my clients all the time where I'm like, oh, that's really your mental mapping there. But like, it's the overflow of your heart with which your mouth speaks. So if you really want to know, and you can't, yes, modifying your language is very important. It's just a step for self-awareness and thought separation, but it has to start with like actual introspection and being okay with yourself, being okay with all your feelings. I think we also live in a world now, we're coming along where we are making it so that feelings are okay. I think we as women, it's harder. We taught ourselves that certain feelings weren't okay. So I will get back to that in a second, because I think it's so powerful for women to just know that, like, she who can feel it all can have it all. So allowing yourself to feel your feelings will help you get away from a lot of annoying symptoms faster. And perimenopause is real. Of course, if you look at my Dutch, my hormones aren't great. They're hardly there. Okay. But you don't have to be constantly symptomatic. Understand that if you are always in fight or flight, you are magnifying your symptoms so much. So if you really want to accelerate your healing, You have to have a flexible nervous system. That doesn't mean being calm all the time. It just means getting back to baseline much faster and being your partner in a lot of things.
Okay, I understand that I need to get back to baseline quicker. I don't need to be calm. So like that's a very logical thing. But like I think a lot of women really struggle to embody that. Right? A lot of women go, but how? I feel calm. I would say majority of the women that I work with don't even think they're stressed out.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't even know that they're living. Yeah, that's their baseline. So they don't even, they understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, but they're not understanding like, well, what do I do to do that? So can you give us something that you have learned or something that you maybe give your clients to maybe help embody a calmness? And then understand the difference between living or being in their parasympathetic nervous system or living and being in their sympathetic nervous system. Like, how does somebody like truly go, oh, hang on a second, this feels different than 90% of my day. And I love this. Like, how can somebody truly feel that?
Yeah. That's a great question. Well, the first thing I do want to say is if you are pursuing a more regulated nervous system, just like with weight loss, your progress is not linear. So don't panic if you get really dysregulated, because then we create stress around our stress and we create anxiety over our anxiety. Like, right? We're like, I'm anxious. This is going to make it worse. Like I went through it where it's like, I'm creating all these, I'm making it worse. Like you don't have to be afraid of anything. I think that's part of it is like, okay, so there's that sympathetic state and they're blended, by the way. So if you really look into like the polyvagal theory, understanding your nervous system, it's like going up and down on a ladder. So it's not like you're like stuck. It's not a switch that's on and off. You're moving up and down through your body, deciding if it's safe or if it's unsafe. Okay. You need this. This is a survival mechanism. This is why I said, don't seek to be calm all the time. That would be crazy, boring, and not suit you very well. So we don't have to be afraid of it. There are obviously tools. The tools are going to be things that your audience probably already knows. And those are tools to use to calm the physiology when a reaction is happening. So vagus nerve stimulating toning tools, right? You can do, I love tapping. I love acupressure. I love orienting myself to the space, getting out of tunnel vision. Anything that is like sensory where you are getting back into your body is a tool. Like right before we started recording, I'm excited to be here. I'm not running from a bear, but I still felt a rush in my body.
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I felt that rush where I'm getting a little warm and I pressed my feet into the floor, grounding myself and was like, okay, we're good right here. I'm safe. This is a situation that I feel good about because this is good stress and you need stress. It's the good stress that I need that's going to help me grow. The stress that goes far too far is just going to keep breaking you down, right? So we need those tools in the moment sometimes. Like I'm sure you've seen pulling on your ear, breathing, cold, hot therapy.
You could do something as simple as like, this is what, like, if you don't have a tool, like a physical tool with you, I will press my fingernail into my finger and I'll just do it. Yeah.
And it just brings you right
And then
down.
my brain, that's it. It can be something so simple. But I think the key here is awareness that you're emotionally charged, because you can get there and then you're like, you see red and like everything, is now pissing you off, or now you're completely triggered and you're like, your body is racing, but you might not even acknowledge that that's happening. So the first step is to go, hang on a second. I am very worked up, upset, anxious, fearful, like whatever the feeling that is bringing that charge up. That's like number one, is just being like, oh, something is different in my body right now.
Exactly. Yes. I have definitely had the experience pausing myself with my kid and leaving the room.
Kids, greatest teacher.
Of being like, I'm very dysregulated. I'm going to go into my kids have heard me yell in the other room, but hey, better than screaming in their face. I'm going to get it out. I'm not going to be scared of anger because there's like my anger doesn't control me. My emotions are coming along for the drive, but they're not driving the car. So true regulation or true rewiring of your nervous system has to happen, I would say, beyond just the moments where you get dysregulated. It has to be a lifestyle. Okay. So it's starting to recognize triggers. So you have to start with thought separation. You are not your thoughts and your thoughts are not always true. So creating practices. Very rarely, right? I've practiced
very rarely always true.
It's true. Yes. We practice separating from our thoughts. We learn how to sense our feelings. Okay. And not make them bad. They're uncomfortable or they're comfortable. They're not bad or good. And then noticing the triggers. Okay. As soon as you notice a trigger, you can start to work with it. Because if you really want to rewire a pattern, remember, it's like it's literally neuroplasticity. So you're going on a highway instead of a dirt road. So how do I change the road here? Well, there's going to have to be approaching the same thing again, especially if it's a loop. You have to approach it again with a different perspective, because a lot of the feelings we're having that are causing the dysregulation is just our story around something. That's essentially like there's trauma. Trauma is the Greek word for wound. So a lot of there are horrible things that happen, but it's the stories we attach to them that perpetuate the level of our suffering. What are we making it mean about us? So when you get triggered, like for example, with your kids, what am I making it mean about me? Okay. This is going to happen again. So now how do I apply essentially the same trigger to get a different reaction? Because that's true rewiring. It's like, and it has to be right amount. It's just like bodybuilding. You're going to love this. We're all obsessed with healing, but what about growing, right? Like you go to the gym and if you work out every single day and you break down, but never recover, well, obviously now you got to go to PT.
Right.
But then eventually when you get out of PT, after you've been injured, because you overdid it, you did something to injure yourself, you have to go back to the gym. It's the same with your nervous system. Don't get so obsessed with healing that you don't grow. So you need the appropriate amount of stress within your window of tolerance to not re-traumatize yourself to do the same thing. Okay. I've been on podcasts before. If I put my foot in my mouth, I could be like, I'm never doing that again. But like actually rewiring my nervous system would be coming back to it. An example I love to use is when people, the biggest fear out there is the fear of speaking in public, right? So if someone has that kind of fear and they really want to rewire their response to it, well, first they have to understand, where is that fear coming from? Okay. Deep down, you might feel like people will find me out. I'm not enough. I will lose love. I mean, it's like, the pack is standing there looking at me. Are they going to throw stones? Like so understanding that first, and then getting yourself in an environment within your window of tolerance to expose yourself to your own trigger. So don't go on stage in front of 100 people, but maybe go to Toastmasters or just try to speak in your small group at church. Like if you really want to rewire, you have to approach the stressor again. You can't be scared of it. So that is true rewiring. You can't do that unless you have the willingness to look at that level of awareness, thought separation, and then use the tools in the moment. Because you're going to, in the moment, get a little excited. It's not a bad thing. Everything that's good in your life is on the other side of excitement. Also, butterflies are great. It's the same physiology as like stress, as the stress that we don't want. Does that make sense?
And so you don't even thinking that. Even just going like, if we've labeled fear, anger, anxiety as bad feelings, right? But if you can really just believe that they are literally on the same level as excitement, joy, happiness, whatever on this side that we have labeled as all these great things, it truly is the same charge. And we can just be like, hey, cool, no big deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, okay, I'm angry. I need to go do something about this because I don't want to feel this in my body anymore. I need to move it through me. You know what I mean? Not that you necessarily want to not feel joy and move it through you, but it does move through you. Like they come and go, feel all of the feelings come and go.
Yeah.
So I think even recognizing that we don't need to label feelings as good or bad, they're just human experience.
Exactly. If you have your audience, just pull up, I think it's thefeelingswheel.com. It's a free site. It's all the feelings. You will see that 75% of them are what we would label as bad. So the majority of things you can expose yourself to as a feeling, you would label as bad. Again, it's not bad because everything has utility. So if you didn't have the tougher moments, you wouldn't understand the depth of the good moments, right? So, and that's essentially what makes you grow as a person. We all have this desire for progress. That's what gives us fulfillment. Women want to get healthier and lose weight because it feels like coming home and it feels like progress, right? So that's why you and I are never going to get off this health journey for ourselves. When you get into it, you're like, never. I love progress. I love taking care of myself. Like there's always another thing that I can do. Just making it okay to have all the feelings and avoid labeling them certain ways. It's just like with food. Don't label foods as good or bad. Come on. Like there's foods that are going to be calorically dense and a little bit more for funsies and pleasure. And then there's foods that are nutrient dense that are really more for medicinal value and fuel. As soon as you start labeling things, our human nature has gets dichotomous, and we start rebelling and we start like judging ourselves. Oh my gosh. And then we're going down a spiral because the worst thing you can do for your nervous system and for your adrenals and for your gut is shame. And that's a really low level. So if you feel it, Feel it. Like you said, let the emotion pass. If you truly feel an emotion, it only lasts 60 to 90 seconds. But most women don't feel emotions. They think about them. They overthink them. They replay it over and over and over and over and over and think about it every which way, right? I told you
that exact thing that I'm going through right now, postpartum with under 3. And that is exactly what I am doing.
Okay.
So the fear. Oh my gosh, how am I going to do that?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you an exercise offline. That's why I have such a hard time. Like that literally made me start to drive myself crazy. Yeah. Most women, especially women that say that they're empaths, you're an overthinker. You're not a feeler. If someone says, how are you feeling? And you have to think about it, you're not a feeler. So you're more in your head than you're in your body. And no wonder your nervous system is a little dysregulated because a lot of feelings are off limits. Feelings are now labeled as unsafe. I can't even feel my feelings. I don't even know how I feel. You know you're really dysregulated when you don't even know where to start. Like there's just so much. It's like opening Pandora's box, which you don't need to relive any trauma. You don't need to go digging to do any of that to make yourself feel better in the moment. It's really simple to check in on yourself. Exactly as you said, just noticing that like I'm going into a pattern. All these things are just loops because your brain wants to conserve energy and it wants to avoid pain. And at the bottom of the totem pole, it wants to find pleasure, but it will conserve energy and it will avoid pain before it finds pleasure. And pain is going to be even things that are good for you, right? We're better with a familiar hell than we are with an unfamiliar heaven. So if you're dysregulated, it's the idea of feeling calm is like really threatening. That is, imagine a whole day of doing nothing. That is probably outside your window of tolerance, Michele. That would make you really right? That would freak you out. Like, I cannot sit here because you're so used to going. You have to. You have 3 little kids and a business. You have to. So your body just adapts. So then you have to be kind to yourself in, okay, what's my window of tolerance? What's my dose that I can give myself in my free time? It's not just a bubble bath. It's actually training your nervous system. Yeah, I love that stuff, but that's more shallow. That's surface level self-care. If you really want to care for yourself, it's showing up and actually being with yourself and turning towards yourself, turning towards your feelings and not being scared to be with yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us that are high achievers, we run. And then it's not until we like get punched in the throat that we're like, wait, what am I doing? Like that was our conversation before recording where it was like, what am I building? What am I doing here? Is this what I want? Is this the kind of impact I want to make? So you can just do it better.
Absolutely. There's an analogy that I like to use. It hit home for me when I was on my healing journey, kind of very similar to you. Like I was really lean. I owned a gym here in Toronto. I don't know if you knew that. And I was super lean, worked out all the time, trained for bodybuilding shows. I trained other women for bodybuilding shows, like all kinds of stuff like that. Bro science, if it fits your macros, eat it. Same sort of thing. Like I started to become symptomatic. I started to gain weight. A lot of doctors, friends were like, well, this is just the way it is. Like you're in your 30s, and I'm like, no. Anyway, I don't need to go into my story, but what I found when it came to the nervous system piece, so I did all the physical healing. I did the SIBO thing. I healed the gut. I worked on hormones. I, did whatever I needed to do physically. But to the same point, I needed more work. I needed more self-love. I needed more self-respect. I needed more grace. I needed to feel my feelings and know that they were okay and that I was safe. No matter what, I started to switch my way of thinking. It took a long time, but just to give people the analogy, boundaries was my big thing. I had a really, really hard time drawing boundaries because if I drew a boundary and that person left me, that was like the ultimate fear. Yeah. It was like, oh my goodness, like I'm no longer going to have this person in my life. When healed me goes, well, if they're not going to respect my boundaries, why do I want them in my life? And you kind of just like, it's fine, right? Like people will fall off and that's okay. But every time that I had an opportunity to assert a boundary, I started to get excited because I was like, it's like flexing a muscle.
Yes.
It's like doing another set of squats, right? If your goal is to build your quads and have these beautiful toned legs and a great ass, you have to continuously do the reps, right? And so every time an opportunity came to draw a boundary, I was like, it made me nervous. It gave me like that charge. And I was like, oh my God, here it is, here it is, here it is. But oh my gosh, guess what? I'm going to make that muscle stronger. And next time it's going to be easier.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I truly think that women, or at least the women that I work with, it does come down to boundaries. So you drew the parallel to public speaking. I don't know, for me, that's not really a fear of mine. which is great. So I didn't relate to it fully. And I don't know how many women will relate to not drawing boundaries, because at the time I didn't know that I wasn't able to draw boundaries.
Yeah.
Right. But I just found that every opportunity I had that triggered me, it just got exciting to lean into it. It got exciting to know that I was walking through hell, not sitting in it anymore. You know what I mean? I was getting to that unfamiliar heaven that I am looking for, not the familiar hell. And I think that shifted my way of thinking. That shifted the neuroplasticity in my brain to even look at the journey differently.
Totally. That is the essence of rewiring, because it changed your identity. The more that you kept building that muscle, now you have a new belief, and your beliefs drive your behaviors. Your beliefs dictate your feelings, and your feelings are the quality of your life. So you have to, I've asked so many women, like, if you lose the weight, but you still feel exactly the same way right now about your life and everything, would you be happy? And they often say no. So I'm like, you need the whole transformation. That's why I feel like weight loss, any healing journey is a spiritual journey. You will have to face yourself and everything you believe. Yeah. It's such a great opportunity to level up. And it's such a good thing to do for your kids, because probably, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's the way that you handle stress and emotions is often something that's been passed to you.
Yes.
And I notice my daughter's 5, and I feel like I'm helping her as I'm healing, because I was super dysregulated when I was pregnant with her. And then initially when I had my son, because I had them close together. So this might be a good example for your audience with not being public speak. Well, it is a kid thing, but this is a way that you can help your kids understand this, because my daughter went to a fitness class. Okay. Same with adults. Like if you're doing a fitness thing, a lot of women are scared being in a gym or weightlifting, just looking stupid. Right. So she's tiny. I'm tiny. I'm smaller in real life. I'm barely 5'1". So she's teeny tiny, and she's the youngest kid in the class. And it's like a fitness thing where they do public speak. It's really awesome. Public speaking, character building exercises. And she was excited for it. And then she realized, like, I'm totally unprepared. Like, all these kids are way ahead of me. And you could see her nervous system responding in real time. I'm watching the class, and she's like, it's a little bit breaking your heart, because you can see like tears are in the eyes, and she's thinking so hard as she's running, and all that. So after the class, she's saying she never wants to go back. And I know, oh baby, you're going back. Like, you need to follow through on this one for at least 90. Like, we need to kill this right now. So So I had to talk her through, okay, well, how are we going to go back? So there's pieces of this, right? There's the actual relationship with it, and then the tools in the moment. So I don't have it with me, but I'm looking for like a paper. So I used a piece of paper. She had a coloring thing in her room, and I was like, okay, this is the fact that you're feeling really nervous in this class. Okay. This piece of paper symbolizes it. On one side of the paper is, this is really exciting. I can make all new friends. Cause she said, the thing is, they don't know me. Okay. You can make all new friends. And the other side of the paper is the thing that gives you anxiety, not excitement about the fact. And it's like, they could all judge me and not like me. Same piece of paper, 2 different sides to look at. So which side are we going to look at right now? So we were flipping it over and deciding, where are we going to write the story in our minds about how this class is going to go? Because everything we make up about the future is made up, right? Whether it goes good or bad, it's all made up. So like, can we control? Because fear isn't a bad thing. We need to approach fear, but fear is imagination undirected. So you can channel fear to really work for you. I mean, that's why certain people get into building businesses, is because they've decided to lean in hard enough on a fear, right? And you can kind of get addicted to that. You can get a little addicted to stress, all those things, but understanding you can harness it in a powerful way. We also have an epidemic of fear where women don't know how to harness their fear. And that's why they stay stuck, dysregulated, running around, rushing, never good enough, So we want to use it by looking at the fact and deciding how we're going to feel about it by flip sides. So we had that. We get into the class now. We're in the moment. Now you need the tools. Now you need to calm your... So she came up, there's like a railing, and she's like, Mom, I think she said my stomach is in my throat. She said something about her stomach, her body reacting. And I was like, okay, baby, that's okay. So I was like, that your body's just talking to you right now. So here's how I had told her in advance how we're going to talk back is you're going to do lion sighs. She was just lion sighing to herself as she was running. And then she put her hands over and gave herself some butterfly hugs. So if you guys don't know what that is, you're just going to cross your arms over your chest, and you're going to tap one shoulder, then the other, which is bilateral stimulation for your brain. Try and tell yourself you're safe. So she was doing it to herself in the class as the coach was talking, and she got through the class, and we celebrated it. Next week, celebrated it. It's been 4 weeks. And last week she won the coach's award and was like standing up, receiving, like So she is like light years from. So that's essentially what you're doing with yourself is like, what's my relationship with these facts? And then, okay, in the moment, I'm probably going to have to work my way through this until it feels really light. And then I need to approach the next hard thing because you're going to constantly, that's like the cycle of life here, right? We need to continually keep progressing and knowing that on the emotional cycle of change, you're going to hit like we call it the valley of despair. You're going to enter the valley of despair for a second. Do not be surprised. All of clients for both of us. Yeah, you'll enter a valley of despair. You're on the right track. So this is where the work begins.
I love that. And I actually really love that you said you don't even need to go back and figure out why it is you're there. Like you don't need to relive all the things. Like your daughter didn't have, well, that you know of, right? I'm sure because she's got lots of stories, but she didn't have.
Bullied. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. She didn't have a whole past of why this fear came up now, but you saw it in the moment and you were like, we're going to do something about it now. So every woman that steps into this program, whether it's for weight loss or for some kind of progression in their health in any way, shape, or form. And it starts to feel scary. You start to doubt yourself. You start to think that if you don't do everything exactly right, 100% to the T, that you've failed. If it is this black and white thinking, you have to start going, well, hang on a second. None of that is true. I'm just going to go one step at a time. I'm going to get fearful. I'm going to feel it. And then I'm going to be like, no, I want the progression. I got to walk through it. I got to walk through it. I got to walk through it. I really love that, not even analogy, that story about your daughter. You should be really proud of her.
I am. I'm super proud. That's probably why I tell a story because I had put it in my stories. I was like, look at her go. So proud because this is wiring her brain. You know, your kids up until they're 6 years old, their brain is in such a state that it's establishing what things about the world that obviously we're always rewiring. But that is, I think we're in theta state. You have different brain waves at that time as you're aging.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So let me ask you, Victoria, to wrap this up, where are you in your health journey? And do you feel, I know it's never an ending story, but where are you now? Years in, you're coaching, you're doing this for women, you're doing this for your children. How are you feeling now?
That's a great question. Well, there's pieces of this. So one is like truly deciding where I feel comfortable in my body. If I'm being I'll be totally honest with two big things. Yeah. One is when you're in the world of social media, there's always going to be a little chatter in your brain of like, you need to look like tip top shape because, your body is your business card, which is garbage. And I just want to love my body and not feel like I always need to bring it to the next. I'm always bringing it to the next level, girl. I'm always trying to put muscle on. I'm 40. So I'm always working on building muscle and getting stronger, but just being satisfied with the hunger for growth and not constantly feeling like I need to stay lean, honestly. So that's the thing that I've been like, okay, it's fine. It's in my head more than anywhere else. And just acknowledging that. On the other side of things, I have some stuff going on with my blood that is hereditary that I'm dealing with. And as a health practitioner, that's always tricky when you have something that you're like, I can't really influence that right now. So I'm going through the process of unraveling interesting things that haven't been figured out medically yet, if I'm being honest. So I'm finding the right doctors, I'm finding the right situation, and then being okay, like loosening my grip on things. Because we all want to like white knuckle it and control it and understand ourselves. Like we were saying before we started talking, we all want the dopamine hit of like, this is what my labs mean. Okay, but what if you get your labs back and like your practitioner and your general physician don't know what they mean? So now you're on a journey. Are you going to dysregulate yourself going all off the deep end of like, what could be wrong? For me, I'm just trying to really embody what I tell women to do and what I want my daughter to do. And it's just being okay with in the moment and trusting that my body it's fighting for me and everything is figure outable and whatever will be. So that's where I am. It's not a very conclusive answer, but I'll get back to you in a few weeks.
No, but you know what? Like you said, everything is figure outable. If you're going through stuff, it doesn't need to be the huge emotional charge for days and weeks and years and decades. It can just be a stressful time, and uncertainty is stressful and unpredictability is stressful, and you can manage it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's honestly where I like, if you have any listeners that are more faith-based, that's where all of my certainty comes from, is that like, I don't actually need to be enough. I don't have to carry all the burdens in my body. I wasn't designed to. So I'm going to rely on God. I'm going to trust in Jesus that everything is going to work out well for me and in my favor. And every time I've encountered a challenge, it has gone on to serve so many other people. Same with you. All of your challenges you've been through, you've used to help so many women. So when we're in the thick of something, we can just rest knowing that there will be another side.
Amazing. I love that. Victoria, where can people find you if they want to follow your story, if they want to get to know you better, or maybe they want to work with you?
I can be found on at Victoria Hartcorn, HARTCORN.fitness on Instagram. I do have a podcast, Overcome the Fit Mind Strong Body Show. And we'll be having a retreat in September, a live event. That's like the big thing that clients, non-clients are invited to come. So if you are, I shouldn't even say if you are in the US because we had a couple gals from Canada last year, but if you're interested in a really restful, rejuvenative wellness retreat, then let me know and I'd love to meet you in person.
Amazing. I'll make sure all that information is in the show notes. And thank you so much for actually, even just talking about that has like calmed me. And like, I can feel a calm in my body because, I'm postpartum. It's not easy. There is lots going on in my house all day, every day. And it does feel really good to just go and feel that peacefulness in my body. So thank you so much.
You're doing amazing, Mom. Seriously, you have got this. Like I told you, you're just doing so incredible for 3 young kids and what you're doing to help women. It's just very, very inspiring. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.